Standard 7.2, using technology to design and implement a variety of formative and summative assessments that accommodate learner needs, provide timely feedback to students, and inform instruction. In this chart, it shows that 15 students took both the pretest and post-test. It has their pretest scores, post-test scores, and their overall growth. If we look down at the bottom at the average of the pretest was a 72%. The average of the post-test was an 85%, so there was a 13% growth between the pretest and the post-test. Looking at the pretest scores, our class had an average of 72%. In relation to the school, region, and district, we were right on par with the region. We were above the district, however, we did score 14% lower than the school average. Looking at the colors associated in the performance level distribution in the middle, the green are students who are distinguished, so they score between a 90 to a 100. In the yellow, we have students who are proficient. They scored between an 80 to a 90. In the orange, we have students who are developing, so they're between a 70 and an 80. And then in the red, we have beginning learners, and they're from a 0 to a 70%. So looking at our class at the top, most of my students were in the beginning level performance for the pretest. Now looking at the post-test scores, our average did increase by 13%. We went from a 72% average to an 85% average. We scored significantly closer to the overall school average, just under 3% lower. We exceeded the region average by 15% and the district average by 20%. In the pretest, our performance bands were significantly different. We had over 60% of students in the beginning performance category, whereas now we only have 8% of learners in that beginning level. 54% are proficient and 38% are distinguished. One standard where students struggled the most was MD3, which is apply the area and perimeter formulas for rectangles in real world and mathematical problems. The class scored a 67% average, with majority of the students being in that middle range, 31% in the lower range, and 50% were proficient. There were 4 overall questions for this particular standard. To help students move forward and go back and relearn and cover information from that specific standard on area and perimeter, we used a technology tool called SplashLearn. SplashLearn is a game-based and curriculum-aligned learning experience for math and reading. It offers over 8,000 learning games, activities, and printable worksheets for preschool and kindergarten to grade 5. SplashLearn also offers live classes for both math and reading by experienced and certified teachers. SplashLearn is available to us through our Clever platform, as the school has a subscription to the site. Here we have an overview of the SplashLearn practice assigned for area. So students at the top here scored above and were proficient. Students in the middle here are making progress and working towards it. These students at the bottom need a little bit more remediation, as they scored between a 56 to a 64. In addition, students had another SplashLearn practice on perimeter, where 3 students were doing very well, being very successful. 3 of them were in the middle, 1 is below, and 1 student did not complete the assignment fully, so their score is not finished just yet. Standard 7.3, use assessment data to guide progress and communicate with students, parents, and education stakeholders to build student self-direction. Here we have the post-assessment data. Looking at the graph, majority of the students exceeded expectations and scored between a 90 to a 100. Some students met expectations, which means they scored between an 82 and 89. Some students were in the approaching category, which is a 70 to a 79, and there were not any students in the below grade level category of a 69 and below. Once students completed the assessment on CTLS, which is Cobb's teaching and learning system, so our learning management system, the parents are then able to see their child's scores through Parent View, which is Cobb's online gradebook for parental access. After taking the pre-test and post-test, the students were given a math self-reflection. The self-reflection looked at what students learned throughout the unit, asked them about things they had difficulty with, what they did when they had trouble, something they were proud of, what they did after their test was returned to them, as well as goals moving forward. So looking at what they would do different next time around and how they were going to make those changes. This self-reflection was available in a paper pencil format, as you see here, as well as a Microsoft Forms format, as seen here. Here we have a math self-reflection from a student following the completion of their assessment. When the student was asked what the math unit was about, they stated that it was about area and perimeter. During the unit, they enjoyed the shapes. During the unit, they had some difficulty with area and perimeter and determining how those two are different. If they came across any difficulty or trouble while working, they asked the teacher. Throughout the test, this student felt like they did a good job of showing their work. They're the most proud of knowing their math facts to solve. After the test was returned, the students noticed that they made some mistakes. And given that they made some mistakes, they decided that next time their goal is to do a better job of putting the units. We do put a huge strain on this in our classroom as you are dealing with measurement, so you do have a unit attached to demonstrate what form of measurement you are using, so it is important to put the units on there. And the student stated that they were going to perform better in the future by paying closer attention if the units were to appear again. Given that the student completed the self-reflection, the teacher receives the self-reflection, the student has a copy of the self-reflection, and if the parents would like, we can also send home a copy of the self-reflection so that they have access to it as well, and they can talk to their student about their assessment and their successes and areas of needed improvement.